Okay. Hi, Connie. Hi, Doctor. Hi, Mr. Jones. How you doing? Apologies. I am discombobulated today. Oh, dear. Okay. I started the stream. I don't have the prompter up. I can't read the chat off that. Just all sorts of amateur today. It's not connecting anyway. It's going to be a good one. How's life? It's good. It's good. It's just a bit disorganized. Yesterday was Mother's Day here, so I had to avoid the computer for the day. So I was in the living room. I was playing Manor Lords, and I actually played The Room for the first time, which was actually kind of fun. But so my wife is if I sit in the family room, if I want to play games, she's amused by certain games, so I do get to play, but I have to curate the list. Yeah, how was your weekend, Kenny? I'll be right back. I have a dog that's escaped. Oh no, gout. Sunburn. Oh, no, that's not good. Be right back. Okay, let's try that again. I heard little taps, and the dogs. So the living room is where the dogs stay, and so they can't get into other things and chew things. And I heard little taps just outside my door, and they were chewing things. So that was fun. Okay. Hey, Lindell, how you doing? Are you on this Monday? Oh dear. We just started. It feels like I've done a week's work already. I'm doing annoyed. I need to breathe. Oh no, that's not very good. Breathing is good. I'm nothing too bad. So, okay. Stream. I have a stream to do. Stop running, okay? Yeah, that is. My custom property equals black was. My custom property equals binding VM value that is black does not. Avalonia. Who was? I think it was in yeah, it was in the Seto stream the other day. They were talking about maybe picking up Avalonia and stuff, and I said, "Don't let Thinel hear you say that," because they were talking about options in that direction. Yeah, I don't know that whole. The reason I haven't picked up anything like that in a long while is because A, I haven't needed to, and B, I find that the programming, the paradigm, is just so much of a departure to go back to that MVVM style, when we don't get to do that when we're doing APIs and clients, etc. And even if we're doing Blazor, you don't really get to do MVVM unless you go through some craziness, I suppose. But yeah, I have people around me who work with WinUI and love it, and I have people with me working with Avalonia and I hate it. Just put a Chromium on there and build it in Blazor. The facade. Yeah, I haven't spent enough time in Blazor to look at effective patterns of how to build good, UI or a good client at all. Yeah, that's getting me more and more. I mean, in this project, the goal is to kind of let it do that sort of stuff naturally, to try and follow the flow, and then highlight, okay, here's a different way of doing it, And looking through the refactoring book, yeah, again by far, realizing I now recognize some more of the patterns. Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't like. Refactoring guru. I don't aim at patterns very often. When I find they work, but structural. So facade patterns, say, right? So my biggest problem is I don't always visualize how it applies to the thing. So I have to go off and do something and make it work. And then I don't think of the pattern again. That's what an expert doing a color there. Not point of sale, no. There's just so much information in that refactoring book, it's hard to digest. And the problem is when you write a book on refactoring, right? I think I personally feel a lot of the refactoring stuff comes with experience. So you've got to experience the code to understand methods of doing things. So if you've been writing a lot of your own code and not dealing with other people's code, then you don't really have that to tap into necessarily. Only the facade is one interface to rule them all, isn't it? Or don't reach into modules internals. One action in UI, one action in facade that returns a DTO. Carters and trying to figure out what refactoring is to go with what Carter. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to pay a bit of attention to how you implement that if you show Blazor stuff on stream at all, Pendle. Just to how you implement it differently, because I'd love to go through that sort of stuff. Because again, this application is built with the let's just do it the way. Because again, I'm not a Blazor person, right? So it's why I kind of chose Blazor to do this. I could have gone Angular or whatever, but I chose Blazor. It's a natural fit for the .NET stuff, and then, but it's going to evolve the way I write it, right? And we do have some pull requests to review today. So one of the things I'm going to change up is I am going to introduce. I really had a lot of fun doing the game dev stuff the other week, right on my birthday. I really enjoyed playing with Godot and doing something different. And being that Mondays and Tuesdays are kind of drink water days, I might take up one of these days to do some game dev stuff, and use it as a reflection. Nice. We're just 9 days apart. use it as a time to reflect on this sort of stuff, and also look at game dev, because game dev has a lot of anti-patterns, I think, or what we'd consider anti-patterns in our regular code. Things need to know about other things. Classes that are all behavior of doing different things, right? How do you break them up? How do you design that code? So there are some things that fascinate me there. I would like to build a more complicated game as well. But that really triggered me in terms of energy. And I always say, right, you should do projects that you feel energetic about and passionate about, not projects that you feel you're struggling with. These are the first 2 pull requests. So I believe this is Wesley, who actually originally met in Genso's stream. Wesley has created 2 PRs, but these are the first couple of PRs that have come in on this project in a while. So, while Water is not a project I want to give up on, because I think it is a valuable project to work on, I don't want to do all the work as such. I don't want to do too much and end up with a project that looks like it's a complete sample. That's not the goal. The goal is to evolve it with discussion. So, rude. So we're going to review these today and get these merged in. But then maybe we might dedicate some Mondays to some game dev stuff, because it was fun. It was good having Canny and Sorcery in here, being able to help me. But I also, so for reference, after the stream, I did a little bit more, right? And I got my little game in. I shared a video in the Discord, but I got the little game working. I got some enemies on screen, and I got a score and stuff like that. So this was fun to figure out, and there's a lot of challenges in just doing this. But again, it's I actually spent some time refactoring as well, because some things didn't make sense. But there's a lot of different pieces that go into making this, and they have things that we consider anti-patterns in what we regularly do live inside of these, right? So the projectile here, this is the bullet. I refactored this into projectile, and basically I move it, and then have my scorekeeper actually, when it starts up, listens to the collision of the enemies, and then actually scores them based upon the enemy collision right now, because everything's instant. But again, it's kind of, that doesn't make sense in terms of an ordering, a knowledge side of things. So it's kind of weird how that was. But it was fun. It was fun doing game dev, and so I probably will do a bit more of that on Mondays. I'd like to keep moving that forward. Now, I don't want to continue on with the shoot 'em up necessarily, but I do want to learn a little bit more about Godot before I go and start developing the game I want to build, which is a lot more involved and a lot more challenging. i.e. a city builder. So I'll baby step my way through those pieces. But for now, let's get Water kind of tied up. So what I'm going to do, Dota, is, so we have commented on the first issue. No rush to let me get it. I'll take this one. Water consumption doesn't show on first login. That might be. That might be that one. Wesley might have just beat you to that one. So we'll review that today. Yeah, that is actually the fix for that one. So that's the one you commented on. And then undeclared. See, I don't get notifications on these things. This is really irritating. So I got to make this a path, right? So again, the purpose of this project, right, is to kind of highlight how projects work as a group, right? And I didn't see that from March 11th, but I acknowledge that one. So I didn't bother with that because then Undeclared on April 1st did that. So again, from a communication perspective, from a communication perspective, that's an important thing, right? Like, I didn't see that. Where am I notified of that? I probably got an email at some point, but it just got lost in the noise of other emails. So again, how do you flow as a team, right? I mean, obviously with the real team, we'd be communicating a little bit more. Hopefully, you wouldn't necessarily be like, oh well, yeah, I kind of put my name on that one, and I'm not, it's just kind of one of the struggles you have. 34. And can I grab this one first? Values will be hardcoded on the API and the request. Consume the log API, display the consumption. So this depends on 33. So yeah, you can take it and mock the data. So the reason I broke these down into API and UI is always because I want the API to drive. So we can agree. So you can agree upon, given a date, should return the water consumption log for that date. So let's just add some clarification here. API will be so in terms of API, so there is already a get, but that's the problem with that is that's a that gets you the number, right? That gets you that number. So 33 amount consumed. So we kind of have agreed on the API there. But yeah, that's why I break them up. So yes, you could do it as a slice, but the problem is with doing it as a slice is you kind of do everything all at once. And the client should not be, the API should not be adapting for the client is the goal. Okay, well, let's add some notes. I'm going to merge this in today so that this is start. So what we said is given a date, default to the current date, should return the water consumption log for that date. So the idea would be, so let's get it running. So we pretty much already have the idea of the methods, but again, what I'm letting happen naturally here is these services and these repositories get big and unwieldy, right? I'm letting that happen. I'm not deliberately. I'm deliberately just letting them flow in there so that they can we can reflect back on. Okay, maybe there's a better way here. So the thought would be in here, you can see the logs and it'll default to today. It'll show you what you've logged today and you can change the date back to dates that you've logged for. So it would just be, the date and then 15 fluid ounces and the date and 15 fluid ounces. So we could use, there are controls in there. Fluent UI is in there and Blazor Bootstrap is in there. So there's controls and yeah. But no, it's not an aggregate because the aggregate is there, right? The aggregation for the current day is there. You could sum it. You could definitely sum it and say here's what you logged throughout the day. So the idea would be just so you can see the logs of what you've entered, and then, you know, for any given day you could sum it. Yeah, you drank 12 fluid ounces, 15 fluid ounces, 20, etc. Because then you would be able to say, hey, look, I'm not drinking them. I'm drinking. I've got a target of 200 fluid ounces, and I'm drinking 190 late in the day. I probably want to change that, right? So you could look back on your habits. So seeing the breakdown of what you drank, yeah. So let's go back here. So from the API, given a date, should return the value, the water consumption log for that date. So if we go to API consumption logs, this would be a GET request. So I'm just trying to make sure we assume the API, because then you could put the pieces in without the actual API there. You can mock it. But we don't really have that standard. So what I would do here is I would add a new folder called logs and still use API consumption as a route, but it could still be logs potentially. Not sure about that. I think I've set a pattern somewhere else for that one. Post consumption. Another one I've done here is created a list, because they align right now for the most part, except this one, join, right? But it doesn't mean they have to align to the actual verb. So you could do consumption, and given an argument, it will actually do that. But I think logs is probably better. At least if you've got that in there, we could you can mock it all out without actually having the API there. Yeah. We'll return a list of date time. I mean, given a date. Yeah. There's not much to that. Let me amend this. It's easy to do that. You can't put much formatting in these, so date, time consumed. Let's just leave it like that for right now. Yeah, you could do that. So as long as you follow that, then we can build that out for the other one, for 33. So let's go back to 34. Can I assign people here? Yes, I can. So you're assigned it. Let's do. There we go. And then we're going to use my fantastic art skills here. Dick. Well, I think I've got a. Yep, no worries. Okay, let's do. Let's do this. Oh my goodness me. Where does my focus remain? Can I do that? Yes, I can. Okay. Pick date. So let's do date picker. I'm not going into the whole UI UX mockup tools because that'll just get me in a big world of pain. Size 2. So then we'll end up with that. Create new layer. Whoop. I mean, if you're picking a date, then you really don't need to deal with showing the the actual date, right? Because you're picking the date. So this would be, 08/30. And we probably should do AMs. We should probably do. We probably should do 12-hour clock for readability for right now. For the PR, I'm not sure if you want them here to merge. So what I'm going to do shortly is I'm going to look at those other PRs. I'm going to merge my PR. Make sure Wesley's still goes through. I think Wesley's does fix the problems. We'll check out the PRs, and then we'll right now we don't need a measurement there. So yeah, we'll do it that way, and then you'll have a clean slate. Save as, export, desktop. Wonderful mockup. Okay. So that should be here. Then we go back to here. 33, yep. Let's edit that. Attach files. Desktop. Wonderful mockup. Really? That's what we're going to do, is it? We're going to insert it 3 times. Okay. Okay. I think you get the idea of the wonderful UI mockup there. Consume the log API on the log screen below the consumption capture. I should see a of the so if we were talking about this for real, right? The goal would be to well, we're talking about it for real because we're actually going to do it. But what I'm saying is, if we were part of a team that was working on this, there should be questions there, right? Just off what I've written, right? Because I am really playing the role of PM in this respect, or the bad PM, not the good PM, right? Because I'm allowing assumption to crawl in, right? I'm providing plenty of room for assumptions to get in there, so that's an issue. So let me review this. No changes to push. Everything's pushed. Let's make sure this is actually working correctly. I believe it was. No, that's that. That's that. Friends. So it's just showing me. Oh, it's just showing my friend now. If I consume something, 24 fluid ounces, I should go here. I don't see it. Now if I open a new browser window and go to localhost 7077, I'll log in as test.test.com with Bob. I go to my friends, there's my consumption. Now I consume something, 15, go back here, there you go. So that is working fine. It might not be the cleanest of code, but it is working in general. So let's get that merged so that we can get moving on these other branches. So let's make a PR against my story into development, feature 45. So again, if this is not the end of this, it can still be reviewed. It's just going to get merged. So if anything happens against it, right? So get all groups with members in daily progress becomes this. We have a count configuration, so we can give the navigation property there. We have the method. We add preferences onto the account so we can navigate down. Vice versa, we can get to the account from the preferences and the preferences from the account. Then our method, which is slightly broken up, these internal objects. Again, you might not like this style, but it does mean that these objects are not getting outside of this class. Again, if we refactor this repository into more meaningful code, then this code would live all together, right? So these being internal classes would be okay. Because I think it was Thindle that actually threatened me last time I did that, like just to create the object when I needed just a couple of fields, where it would deal as a tuple. Yeah, and there's a lovely mix of link and link styles, inline and whatever, and then the objects. This is the actual result object that gets passed back down. So I think that looks okay for right this second. The reason I'm merging it is so we have a good starting point for all the code. As there are several pull requests, I want to make sure there's no merge conflicts against these. So this merges in clean. I can go ahead and merge that and delete that. So if you've pulled the code, you should make sure you re-pull it. Delete that branch because, yeah. Okay, so added a default target on substantive works on account creation, refreshing the consumptions. So this is the first one. 49, I don't think we opened 49, did we? No. So Wesley realized there was a slight issue in that when you check it out. Yeah, so added in the cascading parameter for consumption state provider in the login razor I ran the refresh context method to update the gauge before you move to a different page. This ensures it always updates upon logging in. So the change is a very simple one. It's literally adding this cascading parameter in and awaiting that when getting to the logging page. Because if you think when you first land, the logging page is it. Now the problem was actually, if we go back to the issue, I gotta go into work, pick up some coffee, good luck everyone. Delta, thank you very much. Thank you for coming hanging out, and yeah, this will all be merged by the end of the stream. And yeah, if you want to tinker, you're more than welcome. And have a great day of work. Okay. So add more commits by pushing to the. So this is the branch. So it's meant to address 41, right? So 41 is here. So the problem was run application, log consumption, log out, stop application, run again, log in, consumption remains 0. So we're not refreshing on login. So let's go pull this code down. And for anyone new to the stream, if you're interested in what I'm doing, if you're curious, you're more than welcome to ask questions. This is meant to be a project to talk about. So feel free. Okay, so pull the latest changes. So now let's go and delete that branch. So I can run this. How did that not fail? That restarted all that as well. Nice. Okay. So you see, we're logging in, and we see 0, but we know we've logged something as well, and that's the problem. So let's check out. This is always where I get a struggle, right? Because now the best way to check out the branch is not to use these tools, because these tools will never know it. Checkout tag, no. Yeah, because this doesn't know about branched code. So let's go to GitHub here. So now I have. I go to drink water, pull requests, refreshing the consumption state. Okay, now this should be PR48. Okay, so GitHub for Windows does allow you to see pull requests. So I don't think anywhere in Git. Yeah, I don't think anywhere in this tooling does it allow you to see pull requests. It does know about it now, but that's not a remote that I've added, right? So GitHub Desktop has done that for me. Okay. But anyway, that doesn't really make a difference. So now if I run the app, and that's the API, go here, let's rebuild that. Now let's go to here. Okay, let's log out. So test at nowhere.com and test. We see our percentage. So let's go through the steps, make sure we're doing it. Log consumption, log out. So if we log some more, right? Log out. Stop the application. That's essentially stopping the application for right now. Run that up again. Let's close that. So now if we log back in, that was reloading that as well. That's the problem. So, and we log in test at nowhere.com test. There's our consumption. So, let's go back over here. Test at nowhere.com. Test at test.com. Bob. There you go. There's our consumption. So the difference there is on the Blazor UI. Login. So the difference is we actually refresh the context after we've authenticated. So if we don't authenticate, then there's nothing to do there. But then if we have authenticated, we refresh the context. Normally what happens is when we go to log, right, we're just ready for logging the consumption. So we don't have the context in there. So getting the consumption state and getting refresh context is what's allowing us to log in and then have everything ready. Because this refresh context will update the current percentage, which is a call to get consumption percentage. So I think that does fix it. I think that's okay. I don't have an issue with that right now. If there's a better way, then I don't know it. Thank you, Wesley, for that one. So let's go and merge that. So pull requests, refreshing the context. Let's do it properly. So adding a cascading parameter. There we go. There's something that does trigger me slightly, but I'm going to leave it be because it's not worth pushing a pull request back for. Did also clean up the unnecessary namespaces, which is nice. From a coding standards perspective, or coding style perspective, I prefer that, right? Now, I also did that there, or maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But so it's not really not understandable that that's there, but I would prefer that because they are two separate actions, right? I kind of prefer the visual breakup. That's a preference thing. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so we're going to review the changes, we're going to approve. So what I'd do here is if there was more changes, obviously, I'd mark it as viewed, just for my sake, because if you don't mark it as viewed and the PR comes back, then you don't see that you've actually looked at that file. This way, if the PR comes back and a file you've looked at has been changed, then you'll see that as well. So going through that is useful. So then I'll submit the review, I'll approve it, and then we'll merge that PR in. If there were more contributors, right? If people started to contribute on a more regular basis, whatever, I would actually ask for a few more reviewers just to make sure. Because if people are engaged in the code and you're actually looking at the standards and the practices and stuff, then again, what I see as no problem might be a problem for someone else, right? So it's worth doing that. But for right now, we'll merge that PR.
Go back over here. Check out development. No, hold on. Roll back that. Check out development. That's done. So I don't get to delete the branch because that's from someone else's repository, right? That's a fork of this repository. Pardon me. I do, though, however, get to delete that one so that I don't have the local mess up. So that should have fixed 41 and closed it. No. Okay, so let's close this. So these people, the users in here are the people that were originally part of the team on the TPD Friends thing. So that's why it doesn't let me assign anybody else to it. Dota I can assign because Dota is one of the original members. Will it let me assign? No, it will only let me assign people in the teams. Closing as fixed in PR. Okay, so that's that one issue down. So yeah, I mean, if you're new to the stream, if you're just seeing this for the first time, you're more than welcome to ask questions. You're more than welcome to engage with this. This project is aimed at talking about it on stream. I'm going through, administrative stuff right now because these are things that people have done, and I want to at least make sure I review these before I do anything else on the project. So today this might be it, but there's the project is aimed at being friendly to anyone coming into the stream. Hey, Jeffin, how you doing? Welcome in. Just realized I didn't do any notifications today. That's okay. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're more than welcome to ask questions if you have any thoughts, opinions on things. You're more than welcome to join in. Hey, Frostern, how you doing? Welcome in. Okay, so this is something that Wesley added a PR for, but it doesn't address an actual issue that we raised. So this is kind of a discussion on process, right? So let's have a look at what it does. There's no percentage on account creation since the goal is by default 0. I changed it so on account creation we set the preferences to 70. I needed to see what time zone was selected by default. I hard coded it, but perhaps this could be set elsewhere or more clean. Not sure where it would fit exactly. So I created get time zones HTTP as well. Okay, so ooh. Okay. So Wesley introduced get time zones HTTP as a request, right? So again, having these requests is useful. There's a little bit more challenge there because they actually are authenticated, although that one might not be. Yeah, it's an anonymous one, so that's okay. There's no percentage on account creation since the goal is by default 0. So let's have a look at the change files. So if a change in the program CS, we inject the consumption repository into the account service as well, right? So now we start to get into a whole new path, which is kind of responsibilities. Clean up the line, the extra space at the end of that line. That's fine. That's a formatting tool running, which is interesting. And then we have get time zones, and we inject that consumption repository into the account service, and then on register, we set the preferences on the consumption repository to a default of 70 and a UTC time zone. So again, if you have any thoughts, opinions on this PR, as long as you don't express them as, outright criticism and that's it, you're more than welcome to join in this process. Again, it's treated as a team project on the stream, this one. So it's meant to be engaged with. So let's go and review that one. So we have in the account service, we've now added a dependency on the other repository. Just heads up, I will be rejecting the PR. But it does highlight, I'll be rejecting the PR because it highlights that there's a problem with the documentation, but it should be corrected if we're going to allow it. Okay, so first we have a new dependency in here. Should registering a user automatically create defaults on the preferences? So this is because you don't have any preferences when you start. So you can go in, so what you can do is you can go and add a user and then go and try and log, and it won't do anything because you have no preferences configured. So there's a few questions here, right? The first question is, should this do this? Right? Should it be a responsibility of the account service to actually deal with the preferences because it doesn't really necessarily know about preferences? Secondly, that cast bugs me. It's because it's a nullable, it's getting rid of the null. That's fine. We can treat it like that at this point. But secondly, like 70 fluid ounces, is that something, again, I don't want to dictate to someone what is a healthy amount of water, right? Because it's a personal thing, right? If I drink 70 fluid ounces of water in a day, that's not bad. But if someone who is half my size drinks 70 fluid ounces of water in a day, they might not feel very good for it, right? Because they don't have the mass to take on that amount of fluid. So is it good to set a default? Is there a sane default, right? Right. And again, this is not intended to be a health app. This is not intended to be in any way, shape, or form anything that is medically proven. But how do you make that decision? How do you, like, there are apps out there that do this sort of stuff, right? What do they do? Minimum water consumption per day. I bet we're going to get different answers. Again, yeah, here you go. for healthy individuals, the average daily water for men is about 15 cups, and for women, 11 cups, right? So there's obviously a difference between male and female, but is there a difference in body size? Other factors that might mean more plain water include activity, temperatures, health and medications, age. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, and water intake is individualized. You should check with your doctor about the right amount for you, right? So for us to set a default is difficult. Wouldn't there be some exercise apps? There probably are some exercise apps that would do that sort of thing. So my concern is that is a decision that is not for us to make. So a default 70 fluid ounces is a high target to reach, right? So if they leave that, then they'll be chasing an amount that's uncomfortable, right? So, and again, this application is not intended to be a real application in the long term, right? It's intended to be an application we can build on, we can share knowledge around, we can share decisions like this where we talk about this stuff, because these are the sorts of decisions you would make if you were building an application yourself. So it's worth understanding that process and sharing that process. So in this case, is it for us to set a target? Now, what's the alternative, right? Because the application breaks if we don't have that, right? Well, right now we don't have the ability to register, right? So do we, in the API, provide some way of saying you can't log something? Thank you for the follow, Demolake. Welcome in. Do we provide some way in the API of saying you can't register until you've set up preferences, right? Is that a more sane path? Because then we are guiding the user to set it up for their personal preferences, time zone, this, right? It's great for us to default it, but is defaulting it the correct way, right? There was no issue, by the way, for this. There was no logged issue. This is just someone who has used the application for the first time and has noticed that there's a behavior that is wonky, right? So, I don't think this is a good choice. I'm more than willing to discuss it if anyone has any other ideas, any other opinions on that. Also, it breaks unit tests, which we need to highlight, is a problem. So we probably want to get the GitHub action in there to run that so that we know that it fails before we actually even bother reviewing a PR. Because if you were doing this if you were doing this as part of a larger team on a bigger project, if it fails unit tests, the review might not show that if you don't know it, and if you don't check it out, that's a problem, right? In this instance, this would have been red, or it would have failed to build properly. So I do apologize for ads. I need to put the pop-up in there. Okay. So let's go back to here. And this is the purpose of this, right? The purpose of the review is so that we can make sure we don't merge things in or make changes to the code that get lost, right? It's a great benefit when working with others. And again, if you're going to commit, if you want to ever contribute to this project, right? There's no right, wrong, or bad or good. Making a PR doesn't mean it will get merged. You know, I appreciate the contribution. I appreciate the effort and the thought. That's awesome, right? This is awesome to get some contribution to the project. So I don't want to dismiss it outright. So I'm going to make sure I take the time to explain why. And again, I'm open to discussion, right? Like you said, you know, exercise apps do this sort of stuff. They track this, etc. But they're also, if you think about most exercise apps, you've set up your profile. So you've told them, oh, I'm a man, I'm 6'2", I'm X number of pounds, I'm X years old, right? So you've given them some numbers to work with to give you some advice and guidance. They can calculate that stuff and give you some better things. We're not doing that, so yeah. There are no sane defaults available to us for the amount of water to consume. It would be incorrect as the target for a man versus woman. Age of wildly different based on a number of factors. So again, to keep the education going forward here, right? Let's link that Harvard article. We'll not trust WebMD. Let's see if these. Let's look at these two. Okay, so they agree on that 15.5 and 11.5 cups, so 3.7 liters of water per day. I'm not drinking enough water. I'm drinking about 3 every day, especially on days I exercise. But let's link these articles, right? Because it's useful. And again, from an education standpoint, you're correct. Yeah, would actually be twofold. Create a registration probably would actually be, it's not even twofold, it's this. To create a registration flow, allows you to sign up, and then it's asked to enter the default preferences to enable to get its application without having valid preferences for that. A possible alternative be to prevent logging before preferences are set. So what we could do there is, and so these two things follow two paths, right? The first one would be, we could, at an API level, prevent you from trying to log any consumption if you have no valid preferences, and just return a result that is no valid preferences selected. So that might be a good thing to do, because right now it assumes everything is in line, right? Although it doesn't prevent you from logging, because logging is okay. It's actually not logging that's the problem. It's the calculation of the percentage that's the problem when you try and log. So if you log 150 fluid ounces and you have no goal, then you haven't really matched your goal, right? So it's an incorrect calculation. But so the difference here is my suggested solution requires no API changes. So the idea of this project again is there's an API. So you can work on fixing bugs in the API. You can contribute that way. You can contribute new features. Again, I would say we need to make sure that they're suggested and accepted first, but I don't know what workflow looks like for that. And then there's clients. So if you want to practice building a client against an API, you can also do that and contribute the client so that other people can see how you might go about it. So I don't mind if there's 50 different clients in here from different contributors, as long as they're kind of maintained. That's okay. So if you want to build your own UI to this, you can do, and be opinionated about how it comes together, but you should use the same API, right? The API should never change for the purpose of a client in this way. There is this thought, this more modern thought of the BFF thing, the back end for front end, where you basically build an API specifically for the client. The benefit of doing that is you have a very tuned API that meets the requirements of the view. But it's always messy when you merge those two concepts, right? When you start to add an API endpoint because, oh, I need this on this screen. Okay, well, just add an API endpoint there and do that. But you should be looking at the overall design. Wait, people do not build the back end for the front end? I don't. I try not to. And in this instance, I'm not doing it because that would make this a nightmare. So, but I'm saying like having different APIs for different clients, etc., within the same application stack, you can make it messy. It's kind of like where GraphQL comes in, right? And when you get into the query side of things, where you might have one client that needs to display more data. So GraphQL works in that respect because then you can just ask for the fields you want. I don't think there's any perfect solution there. Good morning, Deflux. So yeah, let's finish this up. So there are no same defaults available to us for the amount of WAD to consume. It would be incorrect to assume an amount as a target for each individual can be wildly different. The correct path here would be to create a registration flow that allows you to sign up and then is asked to enter their default preferences, so they're able to get into the application without having valid preferences for them. This could be achieved solely in the UI layer without any backend changes. A possible alternative would be to prevent logging before preferences are set, but this could still quite error prone. Further to this, on checking out the branch, the unit tests not changed to accommodate service change. Would have failed. Now, the challenge with the unit test is that introduces a little bit of a bit more difficulty in the application. Because if someone comes along and does a contribution and doesn't know how to unit test, I want to make sure that that's nice and easy to figure out or to discuss. Right? I don't want to make that an intimidating component. The unit tests there are very lightweight. They're not really testing anything particularly difficult. In this case, they showed that was a breaking change on the account service injection. That's all they really fail on here, right? But they do serve to kind of protect the code a little bit, right? So they're not meant to be this. And we do have one UI test as well in Blazor. So there's a B unit test in there. So they're not meant to serve as this protectorate layer, but they should still be respected, and we should be able to add into them. So yeah, this highlighted a problem with the documentation, and that we need to run a function for unit tests with PRs. So again, if Wesley hasn't gone through this process a lot or hasn't done it with other teams, then this is aimed at helping that. I'm not trying to be dismissive of a contribution, because I really do appreciate the contribution, but it means that you can't be, oh well, they tried, therefore I'll commit it, otherwise the project's going to get kind of chaotic. We've got to have these discussions, and that's kind of what you would do in a team, right? In reality, what we'd do is we'd go off and have a conversation about this and say, okay, what is the actual need? How can we solve it? Oh, well, no, we don't need it this way. Let's lay out what we do need. And I think, again, this can be solved from the UI side alone. We don't need to do very much, because we could just ask if there's preferences, because I don't think preferences returns endpoints preferences get. Yeah, this will return a bad request if. So get preferences calls repository get preferences, goes to implementation. This will always return a model. So preferences will always return something. But if you don't have a target, it will return 0, right? If you don't have, and it will default to UTC. Right, if it doesn't have one, it'll default to UTC automatically on the client request. So let's make sure that's covered. As for the time zone, it does default. Although that's not actually true. That's not true to say, because this version, this get preferences here, is not the get preferences elsewhere. So other things will fail here. So yeah. Because even if I take, even rejecting a PR like this, there's still a benefit to be taken from this. I now understand something more. You understand something more as a viewer, as a potential contributor to this project. You understand the context, and that's what this project is about. It's about sharing it on the stream, being able to contribute and tinker with it. If you want to practice a PR, if you want, I don't mind if you're just practicing the PR. If you go off and change something to see if you could add something in there, and you're tinkering with Blazor, or you're tinkering with the API, and you do a PR just for that, just for me to reject it, right? I don't mind that if it helps you get used to that process, because you can go off and fork this code and tinker with it and take it whatever way you want to take it if you want to do that. But you can also make updates back. What this is highlighted is I probably need a flow of documenting an issue and identifying that it needs to be fixed, because this wasn't documented as an actual issue. The first one that Wesley did fixed an issue that was outstanding. So yeah, I'm going to close this. So I'm going to close this with a comment, right? And that's greatly appreciated. But this goes into, okay, well, now project organization, right? So there is the board here, right? This board has stories essentially in it. But then you've got issues. So issues get tracked in here, but cards get tracked in here. It is a little bit of a broken process in GitHub. So, normally we don't, where I work, we don't use this piece at all. We really only use the PRs. So that's difficult. Issues you can raise though. But let's go over here. We need to do a minor change to this. So let's go development. Check out development. Okay. Then we delete that branch. Okay, so what I want to do here is sorry, I just gotta check something. Okay. And yeah, if there's any questions, thoughts, opinions on any of this, please feel free, right? The project is meant to be discussion based. It doesn't really do great if there's no discussion. So yeah, what I think I'm going to do for the next couple of weeks as well is, because contribution to this project is kind of slow, right? I know it can be intimidating, but it is a project that I can use to reference time and time again, right? So it does still fill that purpose. So I think what I'm going to move to is on Mondays, I'm going to think of some game dev stuff. It did fascinate me the other week. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I want to kind of move forward with some of that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Mondays and make it more about game dev. And then Tuesdays will be water drink water / game dev if there's nothing water drink water related. But this project's always there, right? The idea is not going away. It's just I don't want to build a whole application. Because if I was just going to focus on application development, I'd focus on my main project, right? I would just go to 5 days a week doing that again. The reason I created this project is because my main application is so involved, right? It definitely fits better with the co-working aspect, and I'm just doing that code on stream. But it means that people can't really approach it. There's no how does this work, or how, what can you do here? So this allows me to show the code, allow you to go and check out this code and experiment if you want to. So there's an established application, but we can also talk about it. We can also share understanding and discuss. So yeah, and if you want access to this, it should be there. That should have gone into YouTube and into Twitch. So being noisy. Yeah, so we need to make an edit here though first. How do I do this? Update docs readme. Guidelines. No major standalone PR. Don't do a PR with I made it DD or here's a project implemented with the right architecture. Again, that's a very much opinionated thing. That's a discussion. You're more than welcome to pick up existing issues and make a fix of them. If you feel you found a bug or an issue, create an issue on. Okay, here we go. That's the part I'm focusing on. You're welcome to make an alternative UI. All PRs will be reviewed on stream. There's no right, wrong, or bad. These guidelines are final. Getting started. So you found an issue. Check the issues board. See if it's already reported. I'm not being difficult by ignoring what it's suggesting. Obviously, the AI is giving me some things here. If not, create a new issue. Be as detailed as you can. And as to the problem. Screenshots, steps to reproduce. Always helpful. If you're able to fix the issue, create a steps to fork the repository and fix. Don't forget there are unit tests. If your code do not be afraid. If you've not done unit tests before, GitHub or in the Discord. Because again, I don't want to make the unit tests be a blocking component, right? People should not be scared to contribute back to the application if a unit test breaks. It's an opportunity to learn, right? It's an opportunity to discuss again. What does a unit test do? How does it work? Why do we need it? So if someone's coming to the project and trying to contribute and then they hit the unit tests, then I don't want it to be, oh no, I can't do this. I can't do this fix. The fix can still be valid, even if the unit tests are broken. I'm happy to help get over that, right? So let me say, if you don't worry if your fix breaks unit tests, because I don't want it to. Yes, I want it to prevent the merge. But that's because I can now check out that PR and I can make the fix to make the unit test pass and document that process, right? So, and share that process. So it's an opportunity to learn. We can work through that together on stream. Get them passing. Why doesn't it just this thing for me right this second, right? Don't worry if your fix breaks unit test. We can work through that together on stream and get them passing. What's more important is I don't want people I don't want people to be scared of committing something. So, so let's add that. Let's do that. Updating README to include. And again, all of this is open, right? So if you feel that that is not clear enough, you can also contribute to that. That's the entire purpose of this application. So you found an issue. There we go. Okay. So Delta's going to take that. Delta's reported this, but this is an interesting one, right? This is an opinion-based thing. This isn't necessarily an issue. The code works. It's just not very clean and it's not very friendly to attach. So I feel there's some data issues and some organization issues. But yeah, there's not really something you can take. There's some documentation stuff here, and there is some additional pieces. But overall, I think that is working. Ads are going to start shortly. I do apologize if you are stuck behind them. And again, if there's any questions, thoughts, opinions on this, you know, even if it's, I don't like this, I don't think it's a good idea, I would love to hear that. I seriously would. I'm trying to do something that is more approachable and is friendlier to people, right? As I work on more complicated development the rest of the week, you know, I don't want to exclude even, you know, less experienced developers that maybe haven't gone through this process from being able to understand what's going on, because you know, I think it's important to learn. So yeah, that is the goal there. Okay. So and this is why, again, I will probably switch Mondays to being more game dev pieces, because I can work on game dev. There's visuals, there's stuff to show off, there's things like that. But I don't want to put too much into this application and have an intimidating large application sat there, because then people don't want to contribute, right? And that's kind of counter to the actual idea. We can close that, we can close that. I apologize for the dark screens to the blast of white. We've been doing this for 4 months as well. That's pretty impressive. So this has been going on half the time of my main project, which is pretty good. Okay. I'm going to spend a little bit of time seeing if we can't get water up into source. I think that's too high. Open folder. Select folder. Yeah. Okay. So one of the criticisms on this is that and there is an issue on this, which again, you're more than welcome to have a look at. Create a getting started for Visual Studio Code. I wouldn't close this even if I can get it working, but because I think it's still getting started with Visual Studio Code would be a useful process. But I've not actually tried to run it myself through here. So run and debug, C#, no project. Okay, so because I've never not this workspace. It's not a C# workspace. It's not a C++ workspace. I've never really used Visual Studio Code to do any serious C# development, and that's purely from lack of desire. I won't use JetBrains Fleet either, because this style of IDE is not something I enjoy tinkering with. I'd rather have my nice full IDE. So to get this working, how do we do this? So the solution does not carry with it which project startup, I don't believe. Now there's a dot settings. So let's have a look. Running multiple applications, Visual Studio Code. Can you do this? I was thinking of taking a look at this over the weekend, but that didn't happen. Busy weekend. Yeah, I'm not trying to do the documentation. I'm just trying to see if I can get it running enough to okay, so it might just be a launch JSON. Create a launch JSON file. I don't want CMake. Am I suffering from too much tools? I think I might be suffering from too many tools. One G, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm just trying to right now. I'm just trying to use the rest of the time for the stream to kind of prove this is possible, because I get, Rider, and I've been asked a few times now. Rider is an intimidating thing because you end up with people thinking that I'm using a paid product, therefore you must have a paid product to do it. So you think it's I think it would reside. So let's do a launch.json. Let's see if that changes. Okay, so it knows that one. So let's have a look at what that does. Let me move that over there. Well, but if you use Rider, we all know you are a better person than most devs. These are not the opinions of this developer, they're the opinions of Deflux. Okay. Version, there we go. Version configurations. Okay, so we got that. Name equals water, drink water. Type. Now, can I do multiple here? No. Core CLR. Request launch. Pre-launch task build. Not really .NET Core, so not Core. So this would be, well, actually there must be one over here, right? Yeah, that's not the same thing. It's well established that people that use Rider are just better. Don't think that's the case. Source, API, bin, debug, net80. Application.dll. www API. Let's see if that does anything. Args blank. Let's see if that runs. Okay, let's go back here and run the API. Could not find task build. Okay, so that's... Oh, so it does support compounds. Okay. Yeah, okay, so that's the run all. Okay, that's what I'm after. So, yeah, I'd be able to do the BW API. Okay. So then I should have run all that. Okay, so API. So now we have something that's better than nothing. Again, I'm not treating this as a documentation step because this is my fumble through. I don't want this to be definitive by any chance, and I'm not going to continue using it very often because I want to move on. Good thing. Compounds feature, that's fine. That's awesome. The compounds feature I can figure out afterwards. So pre-launch task build. Is that because I don't have any tools installed, or is that because of other things? That is not this, so that's not the problem. Do you have the? Could not find the task build. C# dev kit extension. In VS Code? No. Oh yeah, I do. Yes, I do. Hi, DevCost. How you doing? Welcome in. Oh, okay. It's the lack of tasks, JSON. So new file. It's the solutions boys or just asking. Yep, no worries. I'm not trying to make this the actual documentation, but it is useful to demonstrate that the app can build and run in VS Code, right? So I do get that. Did that go in there? Is that a launch? Is that another node in there? Because that'd be awesome if that's the case. So that's the build label there. So let's have a look. Could not find the task build. Okay, so there is a difference in the... Is it task.json? This is a copy of launch. This is a copy of task.json file. So let's have a look. New file, tasks.json. Version 2. Let's see if that changes anything. Well, it's better. Yay. Specify a project solution file. The current working directory does not contain a project or solution file. Okay, that works. Yeah, I mean, if anyone's new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, please feel free to join in. Right now, I am trying to get the application to build in VS Code, but if you've not seen this before, this application is intended to be a viewer-friendly project. It's meant to demonstrate a few concepts that it's not currently doing very well. There you go. So you may be able to log your water consumption and see your friends' water consumption, their target towards the daily goal. And the intention is just to help prompt, healthy water consumption, etc. The initial intention was my daughter and I both do a lot of karate and stuff, and we're both bad at remembering to drink water. So the intention was to prompt each other Hey, you haven't drunk enough water yet, get on with it. That sort of fun. So, but yeah, the simple goal, but with some complicated stuff in between. There's a lot of different challenges that arise from this. So that's the goal, and the link is available there if anyone wants to check it out. The code is all available. Everything's done on stream. There's nothing done off stream, and yeah, you're more than welcome to join in if you'd like to. So right now, just to finish up the stream, I'm trying to see if I can get this to run in Visual Studio Code, just for the education standpoint right now. I wouldn't commit this. I'd probably put this in the git ignore, potentially. So the challenge right now is this where I'm running it from versus, it's at the right level, I think. Not really, actually. That should be down there. Because then we're at solution level. Workspace folder. What? Launch JSON. Why? You don't have an extension for debugging JSON with comments. C#. Does that create another folder at the top level, or does it work? Create a C# project. So that screwed me up there. I think that's VS Code is at the proper level there, though. Although ID is up there. So if I move that up to the top level. The pre-launch task build terminate with exit code. Specify a project or solution file. The current working directory does not contain a. So how do I debug this then? Pre-launch build. I kind of want to echo that. I mean, this would be. I need workspace folder to be water, drink water. Configure. I had to replace workspace folder with workspace folder. They're pretty old. This is a challenge unto itself. So again, if you have any suggestions, I'm down. I'm down to take on suggestions, that's for certain on this. This is just because I've not done this before, right? I've not configured. Again, it's the blessing of being able to use. I mean, Visual Studio, or Rider. These tools often come with all those problems solved. So it's literally just a button click experience. Visual Studio Code, bit of a different challenge, right? I've got to figure out some of these things. Is it because I've never done it before? Is it because I've just not used the right tooling to generate this? There's all manner of reasons why it might break. .NET build, type shell, group build. So where's that running from? Hey, Mr. Anhorn, how you doing? Where does this actually run from? Like, I don't have this .NET, this task.json doesn't build anything specific. Or is it meant to feed this into there? Because it's not doing that, is it? If you open the solution. Not by default, though. Okay, so let's do this. Let's revert them. Delete them files. Right. So if I open, if I open a lower level, water and water, if I go down a level and then hit F5, no C# project is currently loaded. So I'm at solution level here. Open solution. Okay, so it now knows there's projects. Well, what's that dot mean? One problem in this file. Okay, so it now knows there's solutions. So F5. Okay, that's better. API. There you go. So the API is running. At the bottom there, Solution Explorer. Okay. Gotcha. There you go. How new is this in terms of the workflows? I mean, it could be 5 months, or okay, it's only 6 months old. Okay, so it's not something I'm naturally going to find very quickly from Google. Years of VS Code existing. Okay. So they have made the experience much nicer. Run and debug. Add configuration. C#. That's not what I want to do. So now that being there removes that experience. Okay. This week, until I can focus my file on Solution Explorer, I don't use it. Yeah, that's the C# dev kit. Okay. So realistically, you kind of want to replace the regular Explorer with that at that point, if you're going to navigate the code. Well, that's kind of janky. But again, I think it's important, like, you know, we've highlighted to demonstrate that this can and will run through. So but that's when I hit the F5 experience there is not using the launcher. So if I wanted to do multi-launch, how do I do that? Right, so that builds that out for me. And where's that VS Code folder now? Right, so it's created that. So if I hit F5 now, right. So I've completely overridden completely overridden that behavior. It does give you a better VS20XX to VS Code transition, right? So there I've launched the API, that's up and running, and I can validate that by just going here and this should work. I'm not running in Rider. Wow, how I type. So there you go. So the API is up and running in Visual Studio Code there. But either way, that's just made a complete hash of things, because now if I hit F5, I will start the tests. Otherwise I go here and have to use this. But now I can't click that and have it create the configuration for that. So name, I don't want tests. Let's see. Yeah, so now if I hit F5, I do that. Okay, so let's do the API. So if I click the API there, that works. And if I do name, just copy and paste, it's fine. Where is that? That is source clients. Does it give you a better, for tests, you want to put that in the task with a group label of test, then you can use Control-Shift-T. Gotcha. I'm not intending to make this a thing, by the way. It's Blazor WAT. I just wanted to do it because I had some time at the end of the stream, and now I'm overrunning the end of the stream. Blazor WA.tbd. Yeah, I'm not trying to. Okay. Well, one of the options, one of the things is like, this needs documenting how to do this, how to set it up, and that would make it friendlier to people, right? But now I should be able to go there, no, full, and that should run both the API and the client. And kind of. Oh, because it's already running. That'll be why. There you go. Okay. In theory. So it's not just, I mean, me getting it running is one thing, but having the ability for other people to run the project would be good. In theory, that worked, but it's not working. But that's probably just my configuration. Yeah, because VS Code is for so many different languages. The whole launch thing is a subject within itself. Right. And that's why, Rider is one skin of the JetBrains tooling, right? It's just they focus the set of languages down into that thing. Fleet is their replacement for Visual Studio, their alternative to VS Code, but that's going to suffer the same thing. Now get back to your superior idea with the better people before it's too late. again, I want to prove it's possible, right? So it just requires some time and effort to get that documented out as to how to get it set up, because that is not logical. There's a little bit of a challenge, an uphill struggle there. And maybe it's something that we could build and put into there so you can say, hey, you want to check out VS Code? It will just work. Maybe that's an option. But again, there's an open item there if anyone wants to contribute to that to get that to work. It is possible. That definitely ran in VS Code. And now I'm back over here. Okay, so tomorrow, we'll see if there's anything to do on this project. If there's not, I might actually do a bit of Godot, do some of that as well. From the game perspective, the game development perspective, I'm fascinated with what techniques I could use and what things I do in a regular application dev could I take to what will melt my brain, and what will I be able to take in there and approach differently, and where will I struggle. So game dev is definitely fascinating, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of that on a Monday or Tuesday streams, depending on how busy we are with this stuff. This project doesn't go away. It's just I want to keep myself energized and engaged, and I'm struggling a little bit with this project because, again, today was a particularly good stream because we had a lot to talk about. We had the contributions to discuss, the challenges that raised. Obviously, I did some more documentation, so there's a lot of stuff in there. So you're more than welcome to check it out. If you want to ask questions about it, if you want to understand more, if you're a little bit intimidated by it, I'd love to know those sorts of things, because it's I want to make it friendly. I want to make it open to discussion, and have people be able to contribute if they choose to, and get that experience, because, again, it's not something that everyone gets to experience. Pull requests, forking, branching, commits, and all those sorts of review pieces. So, yeah, let me know. Always down. So, I will take you over to... Here should we go see... Fritz is playing Overwatch. We're not going over to Overwatch. Let's go and see... Let's go see Fullbots. Fullbots is building a game, and hopefully building a game. Yes, he's refactoring code, so that is very good, and this is the right time. So let's go raid Fullbots. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you for the contributions, and yeah, I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care, all.